Flying Tin Cans is a group of flight sim enthusiasts that organise and fly historical campaigns depicting famous World War II air battles. Every Sunday, 80 to 100 members come together to reenact highly researched engagements in a fun and engaging manner using the IL-2 Great Battles flight simulator. Sound interesting? Join today. A quick thank you to my Patreon members listed on screen, and a special thank you to the virtual pilots of the Flying Tin Cans group who conducted most of the flying scenes in this video. As always, please like the video and leave a comment or simply an emoji for the sake of the YouTube algorithm. In an egregious intelligence oversight, the Allies have been taken completely off guard by the Luftwaffe's last gamble to destroy Allied aircraft on the ground in support of Operation Nordwind. Ultra intercepts that gave indications of an impending attack were overlooked, such as reports in mid to late December that low-level attacks were being practiced. Some messages indicated the use of emergency airfields for a special undertaking. In hindsight, Allied overconfidence at this stage of the war almost certainly influenced how intelligence services downplayed the importance of this information. As attacks on St. Denis, Evere, Melsbrook and more airfields go on, JG2, JG4, JG11 and SG4 are hit particularly badly by Allied flak as they are directed to pass through concentrated flak corridors near Malmedy and Liège, set up by the Americans to combat V-1 flying bombs. This clear planning error causes leader of SG4, Oberst Alfred Drüschel, to become separated from his wing and is likely killed by flak. The majority of SG4 returned to base after becoming lost. Roughly 60 aircraft of JG2 push on, joined by only 6 Panzerblitz armed FW-190 F8s of SG4, continuing on towards what they think is St. Trond. About 60 plus aircraft of JG4 aim to find Le Coulot. Meanwhile, pilots of the Heesch-based Canadian squadrons, which had scrambled in response to JG6's flypast, now doggedly pursue the German wing southward, who are led by Oberstleutnant Johann Kogler. Several dogfights occur between Volkel and Eindhoven. Stationed at Eindhoven are nearly 300 aircraft, mostly Hawker Typhoons of the Royal Air Force and Royal Canadian Air Force, but also photo reconnaissance Spitfires of 39 Reconnaissance Wing. At about 0906 hours, aircraft of 438 and 440 squadrons are taxiing or lining up on the runways. Flight Lieutenant Howard Gibbons takes off for an air test of his Typhoon. Behind him, Flight Lieutenant Peter Wilson, CO of 438 Squadron, and Flying Officer Ross Keller line up on the runway. JG3 approaches Eindhoven low and from the east, led by expert pilot of 202 aerial victories, Major Oskar Heinrich Bahr, in his long-nose FW-190. According to several eyewitnesses, jet attacks, likely made by KG-51, precede the main attack. At about 0920 hours, just less than 60 FW-190 A8s and Bf-109 G14s strike the airfield in waves. Flying Officer Pattinson recalled, "All hell broke loose, with the noise of a large number of aircraft diving on us." As the attack begins, the Typhoons of Wilson and Keller begin to take off. Major Bahr sees this and attacks them before they are in the air. Wilson is hit in the stomach and jumps from his plane at the edge of the runway, but dies of his wounds soon after. Keller manages to get airborne, but crashes after takeoff and is killed. In the meantime, JG3 and first grouper JG6 wreak havoc on Eindhoven. Flight Lieutenant Gibbons returns from his air test. Squadron Leader Lambert recalled. He whipped round in a very tight turn into them. Gibby was in a melee with them and immediately shot down a 190, but Gibby went down beside it. The raid continues for about 30 minutes. Feldwebel Bosch recalled, a fuel station with a Typhoon beside in full operation came under fire and blew in front of my FW-190. After some 4 or 5 attacks, visibility was reduced to almost zero. Eindhoven is left with dozens of planes, vehicles and other facilities on fire. There has been much historical debate about the actual extent of the damage at Eindhoven on this day. The best estimates suggest that at least 44 aircraft were destroyed outright, with a further 60 being damaged. The reality is that the extant records don't paint the full picture. Out of 60 aircraft, JG3 lost 15 fighters and 3 damaged, 9 pilots were killed and 6 captured. Despite considerable losses, it is considered one of the most successful attacks of Operation Bodenplatte, a victory for the Luftwaffe. Having been recalled from earlier sorties, Tempests of 127 Wing intercept the retreat of JG3 and JG6. 8 Tempests of 486 Squadron, led by V1 Ace, Squadron Leader Arthur Umbers, intercept the attackers, leaving Eindhoven. Over Helmand, Umbers destroys 2 aircraft, while several other German fighters are destroyed or damaged by 486 Squadron and No. 3 Squadron. Further south, a mix of JG2, JG11 and SG4 aircraft approach Ophoven, having escaped the flak zones on the front lines. Interestingly, Ophoven airfield was never planned to be attacked on this day. Instead, it was attacked in error mainly by JG2 and JG11, who failed to locate St. Trond and Arsch respectively. More than 30 FW-190 A8s and BF-109 G14s attacked the base with varying levels of accuracy. The attack at Ophoven alerts the US base at Arsch, located just a few kilometers further to the south. The American airbase at Arsch, home to the famous blue-nosed 352nd Fighter Group and the 366th Fighter Group, is busy on the 1st of January. At 0920 hours, 12 P-51s of the 487th Fighter Squadron prepare to take off, led by 22 Victory Ace, Lieutenant Colonel John Meyer, who has postponed his squadron's New Year's Day party on the hunch that the Luftwaffe might try to attack the Allies in their hungover state. Above the airfield, 8 pilots of the 390th Fighter Squadron, led by Captain Lowell Smith, spot the activity at Ophoven airfield. A large gaggle of aircraft is seen approaching low from the northeast, now known to have been JG-11. They are led by 34 Victory Ace, Major Gunther Specht. Abandoning their bombing sortie over the front line, Lowell orders his formation to jettison bombs and dives to meet the enemy. Simultaneously, Meyer begins taking off with his wingman, Lieutenant Alex Sears, following closely behind. As they pick up speed, the pilots of JG-11 begin strafing runs on the airfield. Before he can retract his landing gear fully, Meyer finds himself head-on with the Luftwaffe fighters. He shoots down an Ophoven Y-29, which crashes onto the airbase, killing the pilot. Miraculously, the rest of the P-51s are not hit on takeoff because of Captain Smith's P-47s. This is what becomes known as the legend of Y-29. Lieutenant Rigby recalled, "Things were happening too fast to even be afraid. That could come later. Our ground gunners were firing a lot of shells at the enemy, and in all of the confusion, were firing at us as well." A massive dogfight begins to develop as more and more aircraft enter the airspace. Major Specht and 75 Victory Ace, Hauptmann Horst Gunther von Fassung, are both killed in action. The on average more experienced American pilots bring down the aircraft of JG-11 in droves. The sprawling battle continues above several mining slag heaps in the surrounding region. Lieutenant Rigby and Captains Wissner and Motes claim 4 victories each. Second Lieutenant Melvin Paisley also claims 4 aircraft, including destroying a Bf-109 with his unguided air-to-ground rockets. On the other hand, 4 P-51s and 1 P-47 are shot down. All pilots survive. Some rocket-armed aircraft of JG-2, thinking they have found St. Trond, are also believed to have attacked Asch. The attack lasts roughly 30 minutes, but the airfield finds itself relatively unscathed despite the ordeal. For the amount of aircraft that attacked Ophoven and Asch, only minimal damage was inflicted according to eyewitness accounts and later damage reports. Ophoven suffered 1 aircraft destroyed, while Asch had 7 aircraft destroyed, both in the air and on the ground. JG-11 suffered very badly, with 28 aircraft being lost and 2 damaged, a 46% loss ratio. 20 pilots were killed and 4 captured, including several ex-Spartan. JG-11 suffers a crushing defeat. However, JG-2's losses were even worse, with more than 50% losses. In the case of 3rd Grouper, almost 80% of the formation is lost. 21 pilots were killed and 11 captured. As stated, SG-4 returned to base, but a further 4 of 6 aircraft were lost, including the leader of the wing. Neither Jagdgeschwaders reached their intended target, and any damage inflicted was far outweighed by their unacceptable losses. Still more airfields are to receive New Year's greetings from the Luftwaffe on this morning. Thanks for watching. If you made it this far, consider subscribing to see more content like this.